Hey, y'all, this is Michael Olivieri from Leatherwolf and M.O.B, the Michael Olivieri Band. You're listening to the Nothing Shocking podcast. Turn it up, keep it real, keep it going.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
We're putting the band back together.
The numbers all go to 11.
I'm talking about bands that rock. Led Zeppelin. What about Sabbath? AC/DC. Motorhead.
Does that mean it's louder? Is it any louder?
Well, it's one louder, isn't it?
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
I get up off the ground and raise my head. Days like this, think I should be dead. One for Satan, two for me. Let's cheat the devil, it's fun, don't you agree?
Welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'm your co-host, Jeff Untied, and with me in Dog Bowl Studios is
Coach Nez.
You can find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Libsyn or any podcatchers. Like our Facebook page or follow us on Twitter at NoShockPod.
You can also find the Nothing Shocking podcast on Rock Rage Radio every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. Our sponsor is Ragged Records, located in downtown Rock Island, Illinois, and downtown Davenport, Iowa. We would like to thank the Hong Kong Sleepover for allowing us to use their music for our intro and bumper endings. Tonight's guest is Michael Olivieri of
Leatherwolf
and the Michael Olivieri Band. Yeah. And right now, Michael is working on new material for the Michael Olivieri Band. He's writing and recording as we speak right now.
And he also recently worked with Jack Russell's Great White for the Great Zeppelin 2.
Yes. Hey, let's get to that interview.
All right.
Good night. Michael, welcome to the Nothing Shocking podcast. I'd like to introduce you, my co-host, Jeff Untied.
Michael, this is going to be fun to talk to you.
Hi, Jeff. Pleasure's all mine. How are you guys doing, Eric?
Oh,
Eric and Jeff.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, it's been it's an honor to have you on the podcast tonight. You've been busy lately working on a new solo album. Can you talk a little bit more and give our listeners an insight of the new material? And do you have an anticipated release date?
Well, I had a record come out last year. My last solo record was called Love is Contagious. Actually, in 2020 it came out, and ironically enough, it was called Love is Contagious. And as soon as I put it out, we had a sold-out show here in Newport Beach at Campus Jacks. And it was 150 tickets available, and we already sold like 325, and I was like, we totally oversold. So actually, thank God COVID saved us from overselling. But basically, ironically enough, the record was called Love is Contagious, and then boom, here comes COVID and it slammed it out. So I felt like I put out a pretty cool collection of songs where I'm at right now, and I had a great band play it, and it had it got some great reviews, and unfortunately we never really got a chance to play do any shows on it. So I still, as a writer, I'm constantly writing songs, and I've put another batch together, so in pre-production right now and getting ready to put that out. Release date, I don't like to throw a total date on it until I get when I get to mix, then I'll go, okay, here's when I'll release it. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
My goal was by the end of this year, 2022. I'm trying as the older I get, because I've I really respect bands that would, back in the 70s or 80s, they'd put out a record every year. You know, it'd be boom, boom, boom. So I would like to that's my goal. If I can attain that, that'd be great. I know it's probably unrealistic, but that's kind of what as a songwriter, I've got hundreds of songs in my catalog that I'm just dying to get friends and fellow musicians to participate and facilitate these, to get these out and just, continue my vision of my inner being of music. So I'm a musical guy. I play a bunch of instruments, and in my head all day long, these songs just go boom, 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 and I'm thinking and writing constantly. That's what I do.
Well,
so I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you about, you had kind of alluded to your last album, Love is Contagious. One of my favorite songs on there is All For You. Can you just talk a little bit about the writing and recording process of that album?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Eric. Is that Jeff or Eric?
Jeff.
Jeff. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. That's for me. That song I have two different versions in my preconceived vision to do that was, how like back in the day they would have like maybe Kansas or maybe some other bands, maybe more progressive bands would have a song that would start side one of the record in one version and end in side two as a completely other version, but the same song. So that was my version of that. The original writing of that came on piano for me in a 6/8 time with basically just a piano and an A minor thing. And it basically morphed when I showed it to the band and we played it, and it just morphed into that rock version of it. But it was just more of the tempo was slowed down a bit, but the progression was all there. The melodies were all there, but it was more of a not a ballad because it had the same kind of feel. But for me, that was just kind of an All For You. It's a God song for me. It's I do what I do just for the universe, for God, for my people I love. It's all for you. Basically, it's giving it up. It's kind of stepping outside yourself and just saying, this is not about me. So whoever you is, that could be anybody. That could be Jeff, Eric, anybody. It could be my wife. It could be my daughters. It could be my ex-wife. It could be, basically giving up yourself and just putting other people first is what that's about, basically, for me.
Oh, fantastic.
So in the reality that, because we were supposed to do a record, and it was going to be a double record, and I had all these songs we were going to put on it, and it just kind of boiled down to let's just do one. And so basically, I had this grandiose idea. Side one was going to be my original stripped down version of the song. I'm sorry, side two was going to be the last song of it, and it was going to be All For You and with the strings. And some of my other records, I've used some really talented cello players and violin players to accompany the songs that really work. So I had ideas to do that, but that didn't work out. Maybe on another thing down the line, I'll release an alternate version of All For You. But thank you. That's one of my favorite songs to play too. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing something live here in the next couple months, and we've been playing a little bit, so that seems like one of the songs that will make it into the set list.
Nice. So cool. Can you kind of compare, your writing and recording methodologies today opposed to, as you kind of started your solo career out back in the day? Has anything changed? Have you evolved, do you feel, as though as a songwriter? Has it changed much for you, or has it kind of been status quo over the years?
In the solo years? Or
yes.
Back from
in the solo years.
As a writer, I usually spend a little time writing the songs, and the little time a band, me and whoever have time to get together, it's usually putting together the ideas of songs and ideas that I already have sculptured and ready to go. So In a perfect world, it'd be back into the day where we could spend 8 hours a day creating, and it could be more than that. So it's usually we take advantage of the few hours we get together, maybe once or twice a week. In a perfect world, it'd be 3, but as busy guys, we don't really have the free time that when schedules collide.
Right.
The stars almost have to collide to have these talented musicians to come together, because everybody's got their thing. So how schedules can go.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why for me, I never intended to be like solo guy. I would love to be in a band with people that just wanted to be in a band, and if we could just all do it, I would, let's go. But I couldn't wait for that, so I just have to do what I do, and so there it is, solo guy.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm not waiting. I got songs to make, man. I'm not gonna live forever. I swear to God, guys, I got in my phone app. I either on piano or acoustic guitar or whatever instrument I choose to accompany the song along, I will make demos and just play them into my my little demo catalog. So there's 1,000 songs in there that I'm just going, okay, so what next?
Oh, cool.
Over the last 3 records, I did Love is Contagious, and then the M.O.B record. It was more of a country-based southern rock kind of a vibe. And then my first solo record, which was Goodbye Rain. So over those, last decade, I felt like there was all solid tunes on there, and I weed out what doesn't work, because I'm not going to spend any time on anything that doesn't move me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud to say that, I'm not patting myself on the back, but as a writer, I wouldn't work on something that's not moving me, because most people that get involved, they're like, okay, this is great, so I will be involved. They're not going to get involved because they're not feeling it. So that's, to me, music is that, just to pass on that torch of making somebody else feel something. So it's worth more than the dollar, which is not a lot of those.
Jeff, you got the next
Yeah, who are some of the guys you had on your last record, or on your new? Are they the same? Is it staying the same core band for the next record, or do you got different guys coming in?
Well, the last thing I did with Love is Contagious was Buzzy James, who was on the previous record I did. Also, Tom Crucier, which is Juan Crucier's brother. Mm-hmm. He was on the last one, and Ty Dennis was on the last record. He also plays with Robbie Krieger and a bunch of other cool bands, but it was just a great combo. So we're doing pre-production on the next thing, and as like I said, as schedules align, we've done a couple of rehearsals as pre-production. I'm also using some other guys to play some live shows locally, just to get out and play and work some of the songs. I've got a lot of friends locally in Orange County, so luckily to run into some guys who learn my catalog and willing to just go out and play and see what happens there. So,
fantastic. Cool. With COVID restrictions loosening, do you have a touring plan in the works for this summer? If so, how much of the new stuff that you're recording right now will you be performing, and will you be performing any old Leatherwolf songs?
I would like to play. That's definitely the goal, because out of everybody I know, nobody wants to play more than me. But it's like, who wants to come out and play? So, I'm not in Leatherwolf at the moment, as you guys probably know.
Right.
But would I play Leatherwolf songs? Yeah, I absolutely would. As a matter of fact, I've done some one-offs recently. We call it the Triple Axe Attack, and get some great guys, Cole Jones and Luke Mann, who's currently back in Leatherwolf right now. But we've done shows where we just do Leatherwolf songs and other real classic progressive metal tunes. But I can still do the Leatherwolf stuff. Love to do it. Just didn't work out that I was in the band at the current time. But it is what it is. Everybody's busy. I'm busy. I got a couple of businesses that I run as well. So back in the day, it was all music, and that was a career, and that's what it was. So these days, it's a passion more than ever, because once it's in your blood, it never goes away. But poverty sucks too.
Yeah.
So I'm a smart guy, so I figured out some other ways to make a living, and I'm doing well. And there's no hard feelings. I still like to rock. I still write great songs, in my opinion, and I think I still can make some great records. Whether it catches on, that's cool. A lot of people really dig it. When I do play live, it's a great vibe, and it's just a lot of fun. Do I play Leatherwolf songs? Sometimes I will throw out like alternate versions of Hideaway, or I do some alternate versions like Season of the Witch. I can do a real progressive flamenco version of Season of the Witch, or like we can rock Thunder, or we can actually jam it out, and just play along. Because in Leatherwolf there was no time for like free for all or have fun with it. It was like, these are the songs, we're going to play them like this, and this is how they go. Well, now, really? Because now I can take Thunder and make it reggae.
Yeah.
People love it.
Yeah.
It goes, I am the thunder, it stars the rain, and the crowd just loves it. They're like, what? And he's got this bouncing vibe. He's jumping up and down. It's like, whoa, we just reinvented Thunder. Metal fans are going to throw things at me probably, but hey, man, everybody's having fun, and that's what it's at.
Absolutely.
And then we kick it back into metal, and it's like, it's just... Whatever it takes.
It wouldn't be who of us not to discuss the origins of Leatherwolf.
Yeah.
The band's origins, hail from Southern California. You shared the stage back in the day with the likes of Metallica and Slayer. Can you talk a little bit more of the formation of the band and the scene at that time when that band was thriving? I guess maybe more in a regional sense.
Yeah. So that would probably be about 1980, 81. I was a junior in high school. Jeff Gayer was a senior in high school. We both went to Fountain Valley High School, and we didn't know each other, but we signed up for a guitar class. It was in Fountain Valley High School was a guitar class. So first and second period, they had electives. So we both chose first and second period elective guitar class. So we're like the first 3 hours of high school, we're sitting there playing our acoustic guitars. And we just got to know each other. I just looked over across the room, and he was playing Victim of Changes in the Glenn Tipton part, and I was playing Victim of Changes on the other side of the room in the KK part. I was like, no way, that dude in this, what? So we walked over and we talked, and me and Jeff Gayer hit it up. We started jamming, and we formed different versions of Leatherwolf, had a bunch of different names, played backyard parties all over Huntington Beach, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, somebody's backyard. There was weekend after weekend after weekend just, doing these parties, and built up a name. We had 6 people in the band, so I wasn't a singer at first. So it was just me, Kerry, and Jeff were the guitar players, and Jeff's brother, Wendell Gayer, was the singer. So we were a 6-piece, and we really just focused on, I focused on playing guitar. I wasn't a singer at all. Well, after Wendell didn't work out or quit, I forget, but we went through tons of singers, and during rehearsals, I would be the guy, just when a singer didn't show up, I would kind of sing and get through a rehearsal. Well, we had a backyard party in Whittier, probably 300 or 400 people in this huge lot and in this acre backyard. We had this stage, and it was like, I'm serious, it was like, look at all these people. And our singer didn't show up, and they were like, dude, you gotta sing tonight. I'm like, I'm not singing. So there was a liquor store right around the corner, so Jeff walked me over there. We got a big old bottle of Lord Calvert whiskey, and we plowed it down. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I gotta sing tonight. So we rocked, back then we weren't even playing originals. It was Judas Priest, our main Scorpions, Tigers Pantang, UFO, whatever. We were just, the that whole new thing that was happening in '81. We were just because most of those bands that were recorded, they always had that overdub of, there was always like a dual lead, but maybe a rhythm, or there was an overdub triple. So when we started playing covers, we covered all those parts. So we had this real sonic, very full sound, and that just caught on from the very beginning. And then when it came time to start doing our own stuff, I'd say there was a venue called the Concert Factory in Costa Mesa. We got booked on that, and they said, well, you can't play cover songs. You got to be an original band because there's a headliner coming through. And we're like, well, who is it? Well, it's Accept.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we'll write some tunes. So we just busted our ass for a couple weeks, and we just put a bunch of stuff together. Well, the singer never put any lyrics or anything together, so our first real show was a instrumental, and we didn't have a singer, so we just played, 3 guitar players. Somebody would play melodies over what we thought might be a verse someday. So we just kind of got through our shit by, just jamming it out. So, essentially we're some kind of a jam band at first, and we eventually learned structure and how to write a song because, once you take off the training wheels of wherever your influences come from, eventually you have to go, okay, wait, I have to write one? So you kind of figuring it out. So that was the origin of the band, of figuring our stuff out and not knowing, having a singer. We got a deal with Enigma Records at the time, Tropical. That's where we did the very first EP we did. And we didn't have a singer, so I had to write. I didn't know how to write a freaking song, so we're like, well, what? So, melody, write it, so that's why that first record, I didn't know what I was doing. But, it didn't stop us. We did what we did. Mm-hmm. It scaled down the band to a 5-piece, and it just kind of made it easier. It was cool. Me, Jeff, and Carrie would sit on Jeff's couches in Fountain Valley at his mom's house, and just for 8 hours a day, all 3 of us would just play guitar and just, okay, we're going to write some songs. So we really kind of just created a thing, and we built up a following and started playing shows. And before you know it, Island Record wanted to sign us, and we went to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, fantastic.
Somewhere in between there, though, our manager at the time said, you guys got to move to L.A. and build up a following. So we got a band house in Van Nuys, Sherman Oaks, and all of a sudden we just had this central party house for all of LA, back in the time of Warrant and Poison and all those bands. So our house in the valley was party central. We had a 3-story condo, and it was kind of a madhouse. It was pretty cool. We were even playing a gig, and there was a club called the Country Club. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes. Yes.
Classic club. So we were down the street from that, and it got to the point where it's like, where's the after party? I don't know. Well, the Leatherwolf's house probably having a party. Well, sure enough, I guess we are now. So it was one of those things. It was this constant, just social media before there was even one. So it was very social. With the flyering we did, we had this crazy thing to after rehearsal, after 6 hours in the studio at a warehouse, we'd pack 2 pickup trucks and go from the beach. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Southern California, but there's like 4 or 5 major streets that go from the Pacific Ocean way inland, like 12 miles to the, all the way in. They run parallel. So we would jump in the back of pickup trucks. One guy would drive. One guy would have a bucket of wallpaper paste and a broom. The other guy would have a big old pile of posters. You'd go through every street light, and you'd pull over at 2 a.m, and one guy would jump out, slather it with wallpaper paste. One guy puts the poster on, poosh, and the other guy, poosh, go, boom, next light, Jack, go. So you'd go up and down each street, and we would just plaster Southern California and Los Angeles, Long Beach, just everywhere. So everybody knew who Leatherwolf was at the time. It was pretty crazy.
That's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leatherwolf Street Ready is a metal favorite of mine, with such great songs such as Thunder and Spirits in the Wind. Can you talk a little bit more about the creation of that album? I mean, just a great metal album.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was our second trip to the Bahamas. Island Records owned the studio in Compass Point, Nassau. So we would go out there. The first time we went out there to make the first Island record. By the time we went back to the second time to make Street Ready, the difference was between 1984 and 1987, we had 3 years to make that first Island Records, but after they put us on the road, we spent extensive time touring. All those songs were written while we were touring and partying and just living life as 21, 24-year-old, 25-year-old kids. So we instantly went back into the studio, and that's when we did Street Ready, and that's kind of why we called it Street Ready, I believe, is because it was just written on the streets, just driving around. It wasn't written spending hours of time on Jeff's couch anymore. So those songs were just crafted on the road in the bus, still spending time together, but it was a different environment. Why I think the songs took on a little more of a raw feel as they did real maybe eponymous overproduced vibe than the other one. But it was a great time.
After the Street Ready album, Leatherwolf evolved into Hail Mary. Can you talk a little bit more about the transition from Leatherwolf to Hail Mary? Excuse me.
Yeah, we were, what was that, about 1989. Our manager at the time talked us out of our option with the third record with Island. Hindsight, probably a mistake, but we backed out to go with another major label. I believe it was MCA at the time. And we started doing pre-production for that and started writing. And all of a sudden, I think just stuff changed. I think Nirvana came out and just everything just flopped in the industry. And whoever just how it was. Just shit got weird and the labels froze signings and everything changed. Yeah. So we changed. It was almost like, what are you doing wrong? Maybe we're too progressive, maybe we're too this, maybe we're too that. But at the same time, we were evolving and blues-based rock has always been, any rockers, solidarity. Yeah, that's the core of us. That. Sure. So we kind of just went back to that kind of vibe and got a new drummer and bass player, Marco Forconi and Pat Guyton. We played under Leatherwolf for quite a while, but we just really realized that, wow, our direction's kind of changing, so why not change the name? A couple of different guys, let's change the name. Unfortunately, the current version of Leatherwolf doesn't think along those same guidelines. But, it is what it is. When you got different guys and you got a different sound, let's make a different name, So that's kind of what we did, and that went on for a while. We went on a production deal with Epic Records for quite a while, and just things started changing, and it kind of fizzled out. I backed off. I started doing my own thing. I got married, started writing, because it got kind of punk for me. It got kind of too, as opposed to blues, bass, hard rock, it started to get a little bit, a little too punk rocky for me and angsty. I had a little more, at the time, if I remember correctly, I was still getting into like Lenny Kravitz. I'm like, wow, listen to what this guy's doing. That's that's pretty cool. And I started getting turned on to getting back into my roots and listening to more old Beatles records. And I spent 10, 15 years playing metal, and I go, well, because I grew up in such a musical family, and I played a lot of instruments, and I figure, this isn't going anywhere. I'm going to start doing something different. So that was the transition right there. Probably 92. Yeah.
Well, on the flip side of things, you have some exciting news about Hail Mary, a new release, or a release of Hail Mary tunes. Can you tell our listeners?
We're supposed to get a release date any day. As soon as I get the release date, I can let it out. But we re-remastered and found the old tapes. There's a funny story going through the studio that we recorded them at for the record studios in Orange, California. 30 years later, we were like, we're going to release this thing. I'm like, where are the tapes? I think Eric's got them. So we went and hunted and climbed ladders and through these hundreds of reels and looked at all the labels. Some were labeled, some were not. We managed to find them all miraculously, and then you got to run them through a system where they bake them because you got one pass at them to make them do what they got to do. Otherwise, you lose them. So that was kind of a cool save. So that's coming out. We just recently re-recorded one of the songs. It's called Media Lobotomy. It's really cool. We did a video for it. So it's all the original guys, and it's a modern recording of a 30-year-old tune. But the song and the lyrics are more relevant now than ever. But just how the media wants you to believe what they want you to believe, and all that good controversial stuff to talk about, which goes along really well with music.
Yeah,
so exciting. We're so happy to hear that this music is coming to a tangible product.
Thank you so much, because I was listening to the masters. I'm like, wow, I forgot how cool this was, musically, and we didn't lose touch of the progressiveness of the guitar and the writing, although the music got a little more less eponymous, and we had a focus, and it was just to kick ass. There was no Shara Dream, basically. So it just really focused in on a really cool thing, and we started bonding as a band and just doing some really cool things that nobody else was doing at the time. And we used to get these party buses and fill them up. So we would get these buses. They would hold 75 people, and we'd order 7 or 8 buses from all around Orange County. And we'd fill them up with people, and they'd all arrive at the Troubadour or the Roxy or wherever we were playing, and all at the same time. So all of a sudden 300 people show up in line, just like, what the hell's going on? And then
that's awesome.
Fly a plane over with a banner, Leatherwolf or Hail Mary, or Pat Guyton, our bass player, still to this day, if you look him up, Patrick Guyton, artist, he has a gallery in downtown Laguna Beach, incredible artist. But back in the day, you'd paint these big old trucks. Our drummer Marco had a panel truck with 4 8x8s on each side, like a big panel truck, and he painted all our faces with Hail Mary, and we'd put PAs and dancers on the back and drive up and down Sunset Boulevard blasting the music with dancers. And he kind of took it to another level back in the day. We were in a little contest. Back in the day, you had to find ways to. There was no social media.
Yeah,
exactly. You had to climb telephone poles with staple gun and posters. We really did. It was like back in the day, we would have contests with Poison of who could climb those telephone poles on Sunset Boulevard and Highland. Who can climb? Our drummer Dean Roberts was a roofer, so he would put his staple gun in his mouth and climb those things like a freaking monkey. And he's like, fuck Poison, look how high they got, fuck that. Boom, Junie climb him up, and he's like, dude, careful. And he goes, hold on. He goes, boom, 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 boom. Climb down, and then climb up even higher, boom, 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 and then climb down the backside so he didn't fuck up the posters that he already put down. It was monkey stuff, man. We don't do that anymore, man. Those days don't happen.
Yeah.
That would never happen.
I was thinking of that when you were telling the story about going in the truck and putting the posters on. I'm like, did you ever cover up anybody else's posters?
Did you see the calling video?
Yeah.
So you know how we're like posting, we're pasting up stuff with the wallpaper paste and all that, and putting up posters. That was the real deal. That was actually them following us around, promoting that country club show we were doing. So that was really real stuff.
Oh, cool.
We weren't acting. It was like, okay, well, this is what we do. Since we were actually planning on going to promote, so just follow us around with the camera. This is what we do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
You rejoined Leatherwolf in 2007 until 2019. Can you talk a little bit about your re-entry into the band and how did it all come about all those years later?
Well, after stepping out after the Hail Mary thing and everybody going their own ways, we did a reunion thing for our manager, Jennifer Perry. I believe that was like 90s, maybe 95, 96, 97. We did a reunion for our manager, Jennifer Perry. And she was working for Ozzy Osbourne and Sharon Osbourne at their deal. And for her party, we decided we would do a reunion for her party, and we just played. We got together. It went really good. A bunch of people were there, and it was like, well, where's the reunion? So we got together and played a gig at the Galaxy Concert Theater and recorded it, and that turned into that live record, Wide Open. And so we did that. I think we played some shows, and nothing really ever happened, so I'm continuing to do my solo thing, and we decided we were going to try to write some songs. It never really got off the ground. Actually met with Bruce Dickinson, and he talking to us about getting a deal on Sanctuary label at the time, and we continued to write, but it never really got off the ground. There was never really any cohesive direction or any kind of real structure, and didn't have the magic. So I continued to do my own thing, made the Goodbye Rain record. And then, so at that time, I'm friends with Dean and Jeff, and they're continuing on. I said, hey, man, you guys want to make a killer metal record? So they wanted to make a killer metal record. Just go get a singer and do it. So they got Wade Black. And I'm still friends with Dean, Jeff. We're hanging. Wade's flying out from Florida to do the record at Dean's garage in the studio, and I was friends, so I would come over and hang out, participate, do some backup vocals, help Wade out a little bit with some harmony structure and that kind of stuff. So the record came out, and they had a European tour to do, but then they had a falling out, and Wade quit the band. So Dean called me up and said, hey, man, we're doing this European tour. You want to do it? I was like, well, how about if we just go recut the vocals, because I don't want to go, let's just call it New World Asylum and go out and do it that way. So, it would be kind of weird for me to go out and sing somebody else's vocals, so I'm going to do it. So that's how it came about. So we recut the vocals. I don't think it's ever been done before where two singers sang the same record. But, call it what you want, but Wade's great. He's a good friend.
Yeah.
But, I was like, wow, this is really going to step up my vocals to do kind of what Wade did. So it was really cool. Went out and did a tour with original guys, with Jeff and Kerry and Paul and Dean. That was our last tour of all the original guys, so that was super great time.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And then we continued on after through many different changes. It was usually always it was me at the time. Kerry was in and out. Pat Guyton, who was in Hail Mary, he was consistent bass player through 30 years of keeping it going. We had a couple of different guitar players, Greg Gerba, and I brought in Rob Math, who's back in Leatherwolf now. I brought in Luke Mann, who's back in Leatherwolf now. So there's been some changes, but Dean's carrying it on. So God bless him. Go get it.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I can't wait to hear their new record.
When we first started talking, you had alluded to Jack Russell's Great White, the great Zeppelin 2. Can you talk a little bit about how that came together, working with Jack and
just knowing Jack over the years and Robbie Lochner. They knew what I do, and they were going out to do a Zeppelin thing. And at one point, Tony couldn't do a string of shows, maybe a couple, but they said, "Hey, if you're going to do this one, do this." So I had a few shows booked with. I learned the whole entire Jack Russell's Great White set.
Yeah.
So yeah, but and ended up those shows got canceled, and then Tony could eventually have done one of them, so he just went back to the shows. So when the Zeppelin thing came about, they were like, "Okay, Michael can do it." So they called me up, and because I already know a bunch of Zeppelin tunes, I play keyboards pretty well, all that stuff, and the clavinet and Wurlitzer and all the magical touches of all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Tons of fun. We went and did some shows in Colorado, Denver, Colorado Springs, and somewhere else in Colorado. I don't remember.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Great times. The band's great. Dan McNay and Dickie Bleaser, great friends of mine.
Yeah, we got to hang out with Dan McNay a couple months ago. They came here and played live, and Dan came up actually hooked us up with some suite, up in the suite area, and he came up and hang out and had a cocktail with us and watched the show.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
Dan's awesome, man.
He's a fantastic guy. Hell of a bass player.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell of a guy, hell of a bass player.
Absolutely. We're out of our allotted time tonight. Is there anything that we left off that you would like to plug or promote that we did not cover tonight?
Hey, wait, I didn't talk about that time I got adopted. I'm kidding.
So did we get everything covered tonight that we needed to cover?
Yeah, man, it's all good. Jeff and Eric, it's a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Fantastic. Well, this is how it's going to work out. We have about a month's worth of episodes that we have to release before yours, so we're looking at maybe toward the end of March to get this thing out, and Jeff, the editing wizard here, will get it all cleaned up for us and scrubbed.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one, and I'll be in touch with you in about 4 weeks. Sound good?
Call me anytime you want to talk, or maybe we'll run into you on the road someday.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
man. Take care of yourself.
You too, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everybody hides at home inside their nest of snakes. Everybody grinds the stone and makes their own mistakes. Hide in the headlights, fight the grip of fear. You can make your dreams come true, but you just can't do it here. Hey! they ever take from you, then you plug out both their eyes. They roll the dice. Take your chances.
Welcome to the night. You think you know Night Demon? Then the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast is for you. Step into the darkness as we peel back the curtain to give you an unprecedented, all-access look into the mind and the heart of the demon. We're talking band history, song analysis, studio anecdotes, stories from the road. It's everything a diehard Night Demon fan could want and more. This is the only place to learn the inside scoop, the deep dive trivia, the untold tales from the band members themselves and those closest to the Night Demon story. Need more? The sacred Night Demon Crypt will be pried open to reveal demo recordings that have never before seen the light of day, all with in-depth commentary by the band and the people who were there for the writing and recording process. This is a gold mine, a treasure trove of all things Night Demon. Head over to nightdemon.net or wherever you listen to podcasts.